Okay, welcome back. I thought maybe I'd bring you guys into the mold box building part where I've laid clay in here. I've got some leftover web-based, water-based clay. I'm going to put this in the box right here and trim this off. Make sure that I've got it the way it needs to be insofar as the walls go. And what I'm doing is just put the clay down inside the box, just taking off the excess right here, so I can put this other wall up for the other side of the mold. I'll put that down there. Patch up this little portion here with that. Now, what I do is I've got this all clayed up, alright? So now what I have to do, take this little piece here and glue this on here with hot glue. But I gotta make sure that it is at the bottom part there. I can do that. So there's no clay on there, and the clay is away from the bottom of the piece, right there. Okay, I'm just going to take that off, right there, once off. Now the reason I did this was so I could build the clay in there, attach this side of the mold box, right here, okay? I've got my super glue. What do you call it right here? Now see, it'd be better to put up the walls and then push the clay in, because if you push the clay in, it pushes the walls out. So, the reasoning is justifiable for the fact that I need to put this on there, and then I will seal it from the outside as well. I'm just putting this clay wall up, for this to set it. I'm putting enough where it's not going to really stick to the clay, but it'll stick to the side there, and then it'll all just stick right here on the end. I'll put the glue on the end here, right there. I'll put that up, like so, push it against there, clamp here, going to be clamped there. I'm going to push clay down against that, but I want it to be adherent to the wall itself. So give that a few minutes to dry. And I've got the machete here. That's going to lay down in there. Now what I've got to do is press this machete down into the clay right here, so it makes a good impression. And this clay is deep enough. I can build it up. I can go around on the edges as I need to, put clay in there and seal those edges. Alright? Like I want this to be halfway up. So I will clay on the back of this. Make sure I get a halfway mark. and I'll smooth it out into the clay that's on the top. Put in keys. I'll put this clay right up to the edge of this blade right here and smooth that out against there, because I just need to fill in to make sure the underside of the blade is not getting encapsulated in silicone. Like I said, it's got to be a thick blade. So I'm just taking a little bit of this clay and molding it up against the blade itself, all the way down on the top. And I'll cut a little groove right there, put keys in, do all that happy stuff. That'll be easy enough. Also going to lay some clay up here on this end here, because this has got a lip on it, and I don't want that lip to show on the blade. So I'm just going to build a little clay here, right here on the edge of this piece of board. Smooth that out. Still putting this clay here so it doesn't go up under there. Smooth it out on the back. All the way down. And then we'll smooth the back of this out. Get it all nice and smooth, flat. Push it up against the wall. I don't really necessarily need a thick mold. I just need one that's about an inch, quarter inch, half inch thick all the way around. I do need to make sure that it doesn't go up under the blade and the handle. Now the front of it is not going to be that much of a problem, because the front of it is pushed down well enough that this is going to do it. But I want to be able to halfway up the handle so I can get two parts in the handle and make that a two-part piece, one side to the other. So I'm building up the back of the blade here, and then I am going to build up slightly on the handle right here, so I can have a two-part handle. And that separation line on the handle is what is going to determine the two parts. Now this is the poor man's way of doing shit, okay? I'm not a Mitch Rogers, you know, I don't work for BJB, I don't have materials that I can use readily that, you know, I have access to. You know, I'm not in any way, shape, or form a professional. I'm probably a professional poor man's molder, put it that way. Hey, is that Bosch? Is that Boshy boy? Come here, baby. What are you whining for? You want to come in? Come on, baby. Bosch, it's okay. Come here, baby. Daddy's on camera. I gotta pay attention to what I'm doing. Okay, now I'm gonna give you an overview of this. We have the blade here, and I've got this clay stacked up against the back of it, around the edges of the handle, back, and the back of it. Now I need to refine it a little bit, then punch keyholes all the way around. Now see, this is already solid right here, so I can just push clay up against this wall here and make sure that clay closes off this little gap between the wall and the clay. And that's not going to be detrimental to anything except the silicone doesn't leak out. And of course I gotta smooth it out. Smooth it out all the way around. I gotta put a little bit more clay in here. Hang on just a second. Tiny bit of clay in here to stop up this little hole. You one on that blade. And a tiny little dip. I can smooth that out. Smooth this clay along the wall there. Okay. And like I said, there are professionals out there that do this way better than I do. But, like I said, if you're a poor handyman and you only have the bare necessity tools to do it with, this is the generic guide on how to do shit. Okay? So all these people that get on my feed and, oh, you're not doing it right. Blah, 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 blah. You know what? You're a professional. You've got a budget where you can spend hundreds of dollars doing this shit. Me? $20 is all I got. So, you know, that's about all I can afford to do to make something like this. So I have to recycle my water-based clay best as I can. And utilize what I've got best as I can. So there you go. So I get this smoothed out. Get a popsicle stick. And smooth this out with that. Hang on just a second. I got tons and tons and tons of them things. And bring it up. Touch it in so you can see what I'm doing. If I can get a clean popsicle stick, shit. I got thousands of these things. When I order silicone from Amazon, they send you a bunch of these. So, alright. I did the popsicle stick and smooth this clay out. It's level. Halfway line, I want to clean off the blade. You have to make sure this is smoothed up here so it doesn't have that line in there what looks like it's going to cut or be a different part of the blade. So somebody commented and said, oh, why don't you just buy a new blade for like $12? We've got a local knife maker in town. I took this into him and told him I needed an end piece made separate for this. And he said just to hammer out the metal, get that thick density and all that, is going to be between 65 and 70 bucks for it. Just to get that little piece and then lay it in and hopefully it would match up. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to try something else first, see if it works. And that's what I'm doing. Because like I said, I don't have 60, 70 bucks to throw away on a piece of metal that I'm only going to use one time. So I'm going to smooth this out right here just a little bit. Now, for those of you that have that kind of money to throw away, good for you. Good for you. You go right ahead and do that. I'm not going to stop it, and I'm not going to say nothing because you've got the money. You can do that. Me? Nope. I sure do not have that kind of money. I'm going to push this out just a little bit more on this side. Then I got to get ready to prep this thing for keys and everything to go in. I got to put some on here a little bit right around the edges here of the blade, just to make sure that it doesn't go up under there. Then I got to turn around and go and pull this back a little bit on the blade, making sure that blade itself is defined. will pull a little scoop and get one of my sculpting tools and soften that clay right around there just so it'll have a tiny little channel right there where the blade's enunciated, but like I said, it's to keep the silicone from going to the underside of it. And scrape away the clay on top. That's all right off. We're back over here, double check my work on the back side here, making sure that it lines up and everything is copacetic. I'm going to just put a little bit more clay there just to bulk it up so it's all flat and even. So popsicle stick. Move that out. Let's put it on all the edges of the wall. Like I said, with this thing, it's just making sure that the bulk of the machete and the blade are done correctly. I hear you guys. With the sculpting tool and silicone chip tool, go right behind that, make sure that's all smoothed out really well. Smooth out, flatten out, level out the mold. Over here, level out a spot that's not quite smooth, identical on it, yeah. I'll take that away. On the edge of the handle, make sure the handle's clean. And the clay smooth. Take a little paper towel and napkin, get some water and clean this off. I always keep milk jugs of water in here so I can have it on hand. So I recycle my milk jugs into water jugs for the shop. There's about 4 or 5 of these things out here. I drink a lot of milk. And get the water, clean the handle off. I don't know what this is. It's probably with clay, but I can't tell if it's clay or silicone or something. Okay. Glue maybe. Get all of it off. All of it off. Okay. All smoothed out. Right now. Some people like to cut the channel. I don't really care for channels only because the blade itself needs to be raised, and I don't want the resin to go into a channel and the shit that I got to break off and it's attached to the blade and all that shit. So then what I will do, make keys. Poke a bunch of holes in here, all along the sides of this thing, right here. Poke holes right there, from the end of this. Make keys. You know what? I'm going to do something better than this. Oh, I got to stop and do it. There we go. A wooden tool. Just take that around the wooden tool. Poke holes in here. What this does is it helps the two sides lock together after the silicone's cast in here. So you have two sides of the mold that are going to go together. They're going to lock up with keys. And go together. And what you can do, believe it or not, when you make a silicone mold or something like this, you can do a hard resin casting of each side of the mold. You know why? Because if your silicone rips or tears, you can go back and you can use that resin block or resin buck to pour silicone into either side of the mold, and it will replicate the entire mold yet again. I'm not going to do that, but that is just a little fun fact that you can indeed, when you pour silicone, you can make a resin hard copy of the entire mold, both sides, to replicate the mold itself. So, if, like I said, if the silicone tears and you need to make another one, you don't have to build this shit all over again. You just put your thing down, make a block wall like this, pour the silicone in there, then do the same thing to the other side and put the two things together. Bet you nobody ever told you that. Huh? For all of you naysayers that, I know everything. I've never done this in my life, but I know you're not doing it right. Yeah. That's the whole thing. Paige was right when she said that these people just contribute nothing but grief and shit, negativity. But you know, I don't block those people. You know why? Because the world needs to see what assholes they really are to everybody else. Or to people, some people. And I shouldn't say that because now they know and they won't say anything. But then that's also the purpose. Some of them just can't help it. They're going to be assholes anyway. That's just the nature of their beast. I'm putting this down just about as deep as this ball will go, so I can ensure that I've got good long locking keys. It doesn't have to be all the way to the edge. I can mismatch them. Just as long as they're 1/4 to 1/2 inch from the mold itself. I'm going to mismatch these and just put them all the way down here along the bottom. And like I said, this is the very first time I've ever done anything like this. I have never made a, well, I can't say it's the first time I've ever done, yeah. It's the first time I've ever molded a weapon, to be specific, okay? I have made machetes, or I have made axes, but all I did was cut a foam head, tracing the head of an axe, put it together, put it on an axe handle, you know, welded it, did all that shit, painted up and all that. I've got a prop axe over there I made, so, you know, I have done that. But insofar as the actual mold box thing, no, I've not done that. Now I've got about an inch clearance here, so when I pour the silicone, it'll go up to 1 inch, and it'll go up to 1 inch here, a little bit more than 1 inch. But I don't need as heavy a mold part here as I do for the blade as I do for the handle. I try to level it out, make the whole thing equal, but then you got to take the weight factor and go, okay, this is going to be a big floppy mold. How is it going to be as far as casting and all that shit? Okay? Go back in here, double check, smooth this out a little bit, make sure everything's nice and smooth. The keys are good. I don't like the shape, so go back in there, put some in there, smooth it out. Make sure all these little bits and stuff that are in here get taken out. I want that little blade right there to have a nice sharp clean edge. So I'm just going to make sure that's done like that. There we go. Now, I want to make sure that our walls are secure. I'll put this right here on this and get some glue down there. And glue all in behind that. Hold that. For a couple minutes. I could just fold this behind it, but I'm not going to worry about it. I could just break that off and fold it over and glue it, but yes, this fucking doesn't make any difference. I am going to have to put some heavy against this real quick. Hold it in place. clamp, and I'll just put that right there. And that pushes up against it, holds it between the zip. Clean this blade, this handle up just a little bit better, if I can. Thing is, I've got wood varnish and everything the exact same color. So when I pre-mix the resin, I'm going to put that wood varnish color in there for the handle, because the handle will come out the same color. But then I have to paint the metal pieces right here, the screws. I have to paint those screws. So I'm going to clean this off. It's got dents and chips and shit in it. So then I'll also go down here and clean this blade off. Make sure all the clay's off the blade, so there's no but then I'm going to gore it up anyway, so what difference does it make? Because this is just casting the machete to use as prop. Now the thing about this machete is, when I make it, it's going to be, I'm going to take the head when I get it done and get it poured up and redo that machete wound with this thing. And I've got to cut the blade in a place like this to place magnets on the inside seam of the head, and then little earth magnets on the machete so it locks in. If this is to be a wearable latex mask. But I don't know how many people want to walk around with a prop machete hanging out their head. I don't know how, you know, they bump into people, it falls off, that type of thing. You know, that's things that you have to think about when you do this. But I'm doing it for the display purposes. If people want to, if I make a latex mask from it, people want to get a prop machete and try to put it in there and wear it, I'm going to try to accommodate them for that as well. But like I said, this is primarily display, because nobody's ever done, except for the, what's his name from Scaleware, Bob Premue. He's the only one that's done a dead Ted, but he's not put a machete in the head or none of that. And so I'm just trying to do a full-size prop to kind of reflect that a little bit, but to be a little bit more to the actual Ted White piece, you know, that type of thing, okay? So this wall is solid, it's good. I'll make sure that clay's in there in the corner. There we go, we got that. And we'll stack up a little bit of clay in the corner just to ensure that it doesn't leak out. Now, put some clay up in the corner of each one, right there. Even though it's glued, I'm going to still put clay up there in the corners, just to ensure it doesn't leak out. That's one of the places where it tends to, silicone tries to seep out. I want to check the back side here and make sure this is good. Okay, got it smooth, got it good. Like I said, first time doing this, I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. Never done it before. I'm winging this shit. the water. I just want to clean off the back handle. Back of this handle. Right here. Getting all that clay out there. Sure it's nice and crispy clean. Clean the blade off really good. Okay, now we can start mixing up the silicone for it. Alright, make sure we just do a third check, make sure everything's good. Still not happy with this shit right here. Get little boogers out of here. Now I got it. Now I can mix up my silicone for it. Let me hunt it up real quick and I'll be right back. Alright, we got a silicone right here. We'll just have a little bit. I'll open it. Got a cup. Hopefully I don't have to use a lot of this. I'm just going to pour a full cup of this in here. I might cover it enough. So hopefully that's going to be enough for what I need. I'm going to measure half of this, which is 36, 28. God damn, I don't have my glasses on. 22, 24, 26, 28, 24, 26. No, 26. So I gotta go 13 and 13 or 12 and 12 and do 24. So I'll start with pouring 12 on this. 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 right there. Okay. That's A side. And you got the B side. I got a hole in there. Here's another new one. This is 20 Shore silicone. Get this from Amazon. And it's pretty durable. This is what I make a lot of my molds from. It's 20 Shore, it's flexible, it's really durable, flexible, and all that. So then I will pour another 18, 20, right there, 24, 12 and 12, 24. Yeah, get a stir stick, stir this up really well for however many minutes we need. I usually do about 3 minutes or so. 1, 2. It's probably not going to be enough. It will be enough to coat it. And I'll probably leave about a 1/4 inch all the way around, but I can pour another one because it's got to fill in all these little holes and shit. And just stir it real well. It'll be a couple of minutes doing that. Do a little relight. And it's probably stirred up well enough there. So now I'll take this and high pour it, starting at the bottom here. And I pour it all the way down through this. The reason I high pour it is because it gets rid of bubbles. I'm going to need another thing. I didn't even throw it all the way out, but, you know, you can do this in batches. You don't have to do the whole thing all at once. So now see this right here, and I'm going to leave this to cure here, because there's no leaks, no nothing right there. So I'm going to leave this to cure and set up and clean off the table here where I filled some. Leave that to cure and everything else set up. There's no leaks on the corners or underneath. So there we go. So we'll leave that to cure. Come back out, I'll pour another one, level it off, let that cure, come out tomorrow, take it out, flip it over, pull the clay out, put the walls back together, same pieces. Hopefully I can do it without it ripping or tearing. I may have to cut up some more, but then I do that, and with just the silicone in there, minus the clay, and leaving the machete in there, it will it'll level out on this side. Then I can just flip it over, build the walls back around, take the clay off, build the walls back around the silicone mold, and then pour up the other side. But I have to release it, and I've got spray release. And when you do spray release, you want to use something like man's release right here, or I have silicone spray. So you have this stuff here. This works with silicones, urethanes, and resins. And then I also have a silicone spray release as well. So there we go. So we let this cure and set and come out, pour another layer on there, fill it up, because we know it's going to take at least 2, if not 3 layers, because it's kind of filled up here. It's got enough for the blade, but it doesn't have enough for the handle. So we want to fill it up all the way across. But there you go. And that's what we're doing, and we're going to see how well it turns out in the end. All right? Thank you.